welcome to Kate's Ag. Today is another very exciting day on our Montana farm during winter wheat harvest. I am in the combine again. We have the pickup headers on the combine still, so we're picking up the winter wheat swaths. This field was swathed back and forth because there are a lot of very bumpy sprayer tracks and also furrows in the field, so the swather wanted to go back and forth with it rather than all the way around, because when you swath the wheat in this direction, you go with the furrows and then across and then with, so it's much easier for the swather to go back and forth. And we swath our wheat due to an insect called sawfly that basically burrows into the stem of the wheat and makes it fall over. So if you're able to swath it before it falls over, you save a large percentage of your crop. Last year we had a spring wheat crop that we didn't swath or get to with the big headers where you straight cut soon enough, and we lost 85 to 90% of our crop. So that's a big reason why we swath our wheat. I just saw the most awesome antelope running through the field. I'm dumping every full round back and forth, so I'll pick up a pass headed north, come back headed south, and then dump in the truck. We do have our grain cart working, as you would have seen from the past videos, but our grain cart driver Austin is actually in the swather today, so we don't have a grain cart at the moment, and we don't really need one because we just go up and down and dump in the truck, so it's all going to be okay. I still have my handheld radio right here, which is actually so hard to hear. Whenever someone speaks on the radio and I think it's directed towards me, I have to ask them to say it again and put it up close to my ear. And then here I just have my control panel, my hydrostat, which controls speed. So faster, moves forward, back, keeps it at the same speed. In a combine, you can move 1/10 of a mile an hour faster or slower. So that is pretty cool. And you wouldn't think 1/10 of a mile an hour would make a difference at all, but it actually makes a really big difference. So if I'm going 3.1 and change it to 3.2, I notice a difference in speed. I have an active header height control problem, so I just give a green check mark to that. It says we're getting about 10 bushels per acre. Montana and our specific area has been massive drought, so this is probably the worst crops that my family has ever seen. It's really quite sad. The wheat says it's about at 8% moisture, which is good. We don't want to harvest wheat over 12% moisture because then we can't put it in the grain bins. If you put over 12% moisture wheat in the grain bins, it will mold and it can start to catch on fire. So I just finished the end of my row. I picked my header up. Let's see. I don't think this other truck is full, so I'm gonna go over to it first. So I just turned the header in the back of my machine off, which processes the wheat. See if this other truck is full or not. We do have another truck out to the field now. Let's see, it might be full and it might be able to take a little bit more. So I'll go ahead and press this button here, which puts my auger out. Now that my auger is out, I am going to line up to the truck. So I was right, this truck is not quite full yet. It probably needs Arvid, our other combine driver, to dump on the back of it as well. We'll see here how much I fill it. Oh no. I almost made it spill over because I wanted my Okay, Darcy thinks that I'll fill him. We'll see.
Come again, Darcy? Kate's got enough to fill me, so just dump in the truck. She might even not be able to have some left. I don't know yet. Right, Kate?
So I'm just moving my auger. I accidentally overfilled that part, which makes it hard for the truck drivers to tarp their truck. So I've completely filled Darcy. And Darcy is an employee who has been with us since before I was born, which is really cool. You're full, Darcy.
Okay, thank you.
Now I'm headed back over to the field. We still do not have our other combine working, actually. My dad flew to Glasgow to pick up the part, or a kit, that allows us to change the feeder belt of the header to one that doesn't do extra things because we don't need that. It's really quite complicated, actually. John Deere mechanics are so busy this time of year, it's really hard to be able to get them to come out to your field. So they've been working on it, and hopefully we'll have it back in the field soon. And since we've only got the 2 combines, it makes back and forth passes a lot easier, and farmers who only have 2 combines always swath back and forth because it's nicer on the swather to go with the furrows. But if you have 3 combines, then it makes it super complicated because you have to skip a row, and in my opinion, you lose out on efficiency. So that's something you definitely have to consider. And then you also have to take a look at your field and what is I almost lined up to the wrong row here. You have to take a look at your field and ask yourself what's best that year, because farming has so many variables and there's different circumstances that require you to use a different farming practice maybe than what you normally use. And that's kind of what happened in this field. The other day I plugged my header up twice and Arvid plugged his header up too. And that's just because there is so much loose dirt here and the wheat didn't grow very tall because of the drought. It's maybe this tall. So all of it's laying on the ground, and to pick it up, you have to kind of get in the small dirt. So it's really not ideal in any situation. Now I've just started my pass again. I hold my right hand on the hydrostat at all times and my left hand on the wheel. The way combines drive is you have to steer them one way and then steer them back. The hydrostat also has buttons to control lifting and lowering your header. This header has the ability to tilt, so occasionally I check my screen here to make sure that it hasn't tilted on me accidentally, because I would tilt it back. I just want it running straight and level. And then it's got some other buttons for header height control. It also has your auger in and out button, and then also a button to turn off and on the grain for your auger. So it really controls a lot of things, which is why you have your hand on it at all times. And I would say it's more important to have your hand on the hydrostat than even the steering wheel, because if you have a rock or something that's right in front of your combine and your header starts pushing it, you need to just lift the header over the rock, which I've had several times happen in this field. You need to be right on top of that, otherwise it could damage the equipment. Also, you may have a small bird or baby pheasant run out from the wheat swath, and you need to be able to quickly react to that by pulling back on the hydrostat. Now it's saying about 15 bushels per acre, which is much better than we were getting in our first field we harvested this year. There are also lots of different buttons, but we haven't calibrated most of the technology in our combines or equipment because it takes time, and it's also extremely complicated. The John Deere books are like this big, so we just make sure our combines are in the field running, and if they're picking up wheat, we think that's a good thing. I've got my Kate's Egg tote bag that's made in the U.S.A. sitting right next to me. I have 2 of them actually. I have one here and one here, and I like them very much to carry things around. I'm always carrying my tote bag with me. It's a very clear day. We've had some foggy days in Montana from all of the fires around us, which is really sad, and it's also been super hot. It's been about 100 degrees Fahrenheit each day in Montana, which is about 35 degrees Celsius, so it's super warm. I see a combine operation straight ahead. Well, I actually don't see the combine. I only see the grain cart and the grain truck, but I have to assume that there's a combine. Oh, it's way over there. Okay, that makes more sense. This is the same field that burned from the video I did last year titled Massive Montana Field Fire. It was really bad, burned over 1,000 acres, and a good portion of that was on our field. It wasn't our fire, but we were still heavily impacted by it, and you can actually tell where the fire burned because that part of the field, the wheat did not grow very well. So I'll insert some drone footage from the fire and kind of show you how much damage it did to this field. Darcy and our grain cart driver were just on the radio. I guess there's a really big fire east of here. I can definitely see flames, definitely burning one of our fields. It is already past the coulee. This is a huge crisis, and we might have to move fields right now. Yikes, that's bad.
Yeah, right? Pick it up quick. I mean, you ain't stopping that.
And then what's also really unique and cool is I seeded this field also. This is where I had my big mistake actually by plugging the drill completely by not picking it up when I was turning around. So it's so nice to see the farming practice come full circle. Oh my goodness, it's an owl. Aww. That's the most adorable owl ever. Oh my goodness. There's the owl. How cute. I always love to see wildlife in the swaths and in the field because it makes me so happy.